Comes the worst.
Good evening. It's 6 o'clock. Welcome to the February 21st meeting of the Milton Area School District. Could we have roll call, please?
Mr. Frederick? Here. Mr. Hosterman? Here. Mr. Hunt? Here. Ms. Kessler?
Here.
Mr. Moser? Here. Dr. Strasser?
Here.
Mr. Harris? Here. Dr. Weaver?
Here.
And Mrs. Rance?
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. This evening, our guest of honor is Jonah Flowers. He's a first grade student at White Deer Elementary. His parents are Mr. and Mrs. Joshua Flowers, and his teacher is Ms. Nyhard. Would you please stand and join him for the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very good. Good young man.
Darn good pleasure.
Nice certificate for you this evening. You did such a good job.
It was good.
It was.
Thank you so much. All right, we're going to start with presentations this evening, our high school student recognition for February.
That was one heck of a pledge. It's a tough act to follow, but. Good evening, board. So I'd like to start off by presenting you our February Rotary Student of the Month. That is Emma Hollenbach from our Early Childhood Education Program. Come on up here, Emma. There she is. Again, Emma is a third-year member of our Early Childhood Education Program. She is the daughter of Farron and Janet Hollenbach and resides right here in Melton. A lot of school activities for Emma. She's been the treasurer of early childhood education for last year, 2021-22, and she is the president of our Skills USA chapter for this current school year, which takes on a lot of responsibilities, tons of fundraisers and organization, and Emma is top notch in that category. She is a member of our National Technical Honor Society as well as our National Honor Society, and currently she is completing her internship at Noah's Ark in Melton, and she is also a volunteer at our Melton CSIU pre-K program. She has had the highest grade in early childhood education during her second year. I'm sure she's going to finish that up with her third year, and has also been a part of our distinguished honor roll throughout her high school career. She's undecided where she's going to attend school next year, but she will be studying early childhood education. And her teacher, Mrs. Alker, had this to say about her. When I think of Emma Hollenbach, the word exceptional comes to mind. Emma is a positive role model to her fellow classmates, as well as the students that she is working and teaching with. She goes out of her way to help and assist students and teachers when being asked. When I am looking for a person to volunteer, I can always look in Emma's direction, and her hand is the first one up. She goes above and beyond with her assignments and is always looking ahead at the next task at hand. Whether working at Noah's Ark daycare or working with the pre-K counts classroom next door from ours, Emma's face lights up with excitement when engaging with the children. Having a little girl right now currently in a daycare setting, I know just how demanding that job is and just how extremely vital and important it is. And I can tell you from the bottom of my heart, I am super excited that this young lady is going into that field. She is going to be outstanding. We need more just like her. Emma Hollenbach, Rotary Student of the Month for February. Next up, I'd like to introduce our outstanding senior for the month of February. I believe the proper title is Queen Madeline Nicholas. Come on up, Maddie. Little inside joke. She was our named our queen of the prom court of the snow dance this past Saturday. So we're among royalty currently. Maddie is the daughter of Matt and Wendy Nicholas, and she resides right here in Melton. She is an extremely busy young lady. She is the president of National Honor Society, the historian of Spanish Honor Society, the historian of the class of 2023, and was also the secretary for the past 3 years, a member of our student council, a member of student leadership, the editor for journalism, and is also a member of our varsity tennis team and our varsity softball team. She has been distinguished honor roll throughout her entire high school career. She was named the best offensive player for the girls tennis team this past school year as a senior. She was our offensive player of the year for our softball team last year and the Central Columbia Softball Tournament of Champions All-Star team last season as well. We're just ramping up for this year. Next year, she is looking to attend Elizabeth College and will be majoring in occupational therapy. I asked Mrs. Hunter, who's had her the past 3 years for Spanish, to say a few words. And she said, Maddie, or Carmen, as she's known in Spanish class, is truly an outstanding senior. She actively participates in class every day and tries to use the Spanish language as much as possible. Maddie works well with any of her classmates and is always encouraging to others. She consistently helps with extra events in Spanish Honor Society and volunteers whenever possible. She is intelligent, hardworking, and always positive. That is the key one right there. There is never a time that I've seen Maddie without a smile on her face. She is just a kind of a ray of light that walks through these hallways. A great example of what an outstanding senior would be. I'm very excited for her to be pursuing her passion in occupational therapy. And in terms of that hardworking piece and all those clubs I mentioned, she plays an integral role in all of the things that are happening in this building. Again, fundraisers, dances, members of the clubs, and it's kids like her that keep all those things operating. And it's kind of a real hidden value to this school district in terms of how these events go on and the things that happen in this high school. So very proud to present to you our outstanding senior for the month of February, Maddie Nicholas.
Okay, next is our district students of the month. Thank you, Emma and Madeline, for being here this evening. Very proud of you. I appreciate you stopping by spend some time and hearing about you. So thank you.
Good evening, board. I'm honored to be before you again this month to honor our outstanding students for the month of February. Coming to you from White Deer Elementary School is a young kindergartner in Mrs. Romania's class, Damon Decker. Damon and his family are unable to be here this evening, unfortunately, but Mrs. Romania nominated Damon this month due to his working hard and using his paws. Damon has seen tremendous growth, not only academically from the beginning of the school year to the middle of the year, but also in understanding our paws, practicing respect and kindness, acting responsibly, working hard, and staying safe. Integration into kindergarten does not come naturally for all students. Some of us have to work a little bit harder than others. And Damon is a student that has worked exceptionally hard to become a great friend at White Deer Elementary School and to really take to his studies. He's been a great listener in class. His skills are improving in all areas, and we look forward to seeing what he does next. Thank you.
Hello, board, community members. I'm speaking on behalf of Brielle Yost, who is a first grader in Mrs. Wirt's class. Mrs. Wirtz is here tonight. Unfortunately, it seems like Brielle and her family were unable to come at the last moment. I wanted to read some of the words that Mrs. Wirtz had to share about Brielle. She said she should be recognized as a positive Panther, positive community member, because she can always count on Brielle to set an example for others in her classroom. She uses her paws constantly and even helps other peers who need it. Brielle's smile and hard work in our classroom are seen every day. Brielle is really an excellent kid, a complete model Milton student, just shows up, works hard, is absolutely positive. And I know Mrs. Wirtz really enjoys having her in class. We are so thankful to recognize her tonight, even though she couldn't be here. So on behalf of Brielle, just a round of applause.
So Mr. Scoggins couldn't be here this evening. So for the middle school is actually one of our high school students. And if I'm correct, Mrs. Harris, because the classroom is over in the middle school. So this student is technically a high school student. Gio Kizis. Gio deserves this recognition according to Mr. Scoggins because being that he has struggled with some significant health issues. And it's just a reminder to us that while we all have issues, this young man is one that has incredible endurance and perseverance, and he felt demanded the need for our recognition. So a great way to recognize a very special student. So for the middle school this month, Gio Kizis.
Good evening, board. Cameron, come on up. For the month of February, Miss Cameron Hoover is our student for the high school. And you talk about an individual that truly embodies what we are looking for, that positive impact, that positive personality. I believe Mr. Rance mentioned Maddie's smile. As always, Cameron also displays that. She has a positive attitude. She's always smiling. She brightens up any room that she walks into. And this young lady is a freshman this year. So she is going to be with us for 3.5 more years. And we really look forward to the leadership that she will bring and the energy that she will bring to our high school. A couple of her teachers had some really, really good words to say about Cameron. Mr. Bergmuller, her choir teacher, had this to say about Cameron. Although Cameron is a new student in the choir program, he's very glad to have her. She knows a lot. She shows a lot of courage being a newcomer to an established performing ensemble. She is fearless in attempting new things. She competes in things such as vocal testing in front of her group. She does vocal warm-ups, singing with the groups in multiple parts. And she's really digging in to learn some very challenging music this semester. She continues to try, even when things don't go exactly right for her or her group. She's a wonderful smile and a great attitude, which makes her a valued student in the high school choir program. Mrs. Rauch, her Spanish teacher, had this to say about Cameron. She shows her school pride by investing herself in her studies, being kind to her fellow classmates. She always pays attention and is eager to participate in class. She works well with her classmates and always has a smile for everyone. Noticing a common theme there with Cameron. An amazing young lady who is already making her mark on this building as a freshman. It's really easy sometimes for freshmen to just kind of step back and not be noticed and just kind of get through that freshman year so they figure out where to go. Cameron is being noticed, and it's not intentional. She's being noticed because of who she is. And that individual that she is doesn't hide. She's a great example for our high school students, her peers, and also great for her teachers as well, seeing her smile and brightening our day. So for the month of February, Ms. Cameron Hoover.
So just to amend this, Miss Brielle just showed up. So Brielle, will you come up here? So, hi, it's okay. Come on up, Brielle. This is the young lady we spoke about so glowingly earlier, and how her smile and enthusiasm and positive attitude just infects everybody around her. We are really pleased to honor and recognize Miss Brielle Yost. Dr. Bickhart, the superintendent here, has a certificate for you. Thank you guys so much for showing up. We really appreciate it. Can we give her another round of applause? Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Congratulations to all of our students. Appreciate you being here. Good work. Thank you. Our student representatives this evening.
Hello. So we have Gavin, Zoe, and Tori here, and we're gonna tell you about what's going on in February. So for academics, students enrolled in probability and statistics, American government, English 12, and accounting were introduced to Lackawanna College dual enrollment courses They were called down to the cafeteria and they were given a little short presentation about the benefits to it and if they would want to do it. We are closely approaching the end of the third 9 weeks, which will be happening on March 20th, as well as 8 FBLA students will be competing at states in April. And that's going to be over at Hershey. All construction trades and automotive technology students will have a presentation from Triangle Tech on Wednesday, February 22nd, as well as students in the criminal justice CTE program. This past Friday, the 17th, watched videos about CPR and other basic first aid. And then they did some practical practice and worked on that. That way they can now know how to do CPR and treat basic first aid wounds.
Our athlete of the month is Xavier Minium. Xavier Minium helped lead the boys basketball team to 3 straight wins and the District 4 playoff berth. For our winter sport records, we have girls basketball 4-18, boys basketball 12-10 qualified for the District 4 playoffs and will be playing Friday, February 24th at Athens. Wrestling 11-10 lost in pigtail match of team districts at Canton, sectionals, districts, regionals, and states coming soon. Girls swimming 4-6 individual districts coming soon. Boys swimming 2-8 individual districts coming soon. Boys bowling 22-13 team qualified for regionals, and boys bowling won the PHAC tournament. Girls bowling was 6-29 team qualified for regionals. Competitive cheer district champions and 6 in the state. We did have spring sports signups. Milton High School spring sports signups were held Friday, February 17th. Students were able to sign up for baseball, softball, boys tennis, as well as track and field.
Currently in student government, we are also working with Milton with Warrior Run Student Council, and we're collaborating on doing another Powder Puff game, hopefully this upcoming May. Outdoor Club is currently hosting the volleyball tournament that they do every year. It's a fundraiser for students to both make a team and to pay to play, as well as pay to watch their peers. And students have a lot of fun with that. We just all gather in the gym during Pride and just play some volleyball and have a little bit of fun. At the elementary school, student council members went over and helped the first grade students at Bacher and helping Valentine's Day hearts and drawings for Milton rehab and nursing residents. There was also another trip I know for NHS. They went over and did leprechaun traps with first grade. Also for social, we have prom is approaching very fast. The junior class has been working very hard on planning 2023's prom. It will be held at the Birchwood venue in Milton on May 6th, and the theme will be Night in Nashville.
For the Chicago musical, they begin Tech Week on Sunday and will run that through Thursday. And then their show times will be Friday, March 3rd at 7 p.m., Saturday at 1 p.m. and 7 p.m., and then Sunday to wrap it all up at 2 p.m. And then also for Region Choir, this Thursday and Friday, J.R. Rhodes and Chloe Russell will be competing for PMEA's Region 4 Choir Festival, where they will be competing, and then it'll be wrapped up on the 24th with a concert at the Community Arts Center in Williamsport. That's all we have for you tonight.
Thank you very much.
That's all we have for that report, but we do have one thing to kind of piggyback on right there. And I'm going to turn it over to Gavin here, but we did want to include this in the district report. Something that many of you probably have heard of, maybe intermittently off and on, is a little something that is becoming more and more popular called esports. And for layman's terms, it's playing video games, but in a very organized team-like fashion. So for those that don't know, this has become a varsity sport across the country, as well as a collegiate level sport. So Mr. Russell here is going to give just a brief presentation about something that we are investigating, if it could potentially be something that is started at Melton. So I'm going to turn it over to Gavin, a lot more knowledgeable than I am.
Okay, so the way high school esports functions is students come together, make a team, and they compete for scholarships, educational experiences, as well as this can open up the door for joining actual college teams, as well as if you're good enough, making it professional and you could make a career out of it. So high school esports, they have different games. As you can see, they have Brawlhalla, Rocket League, Minecraft, Halo, League of Legends, chess, CSGO, Valorant, and Rainbow Six Siege. And it's broken up into different regions. So when you compete, you would compete against schools from all across the country. But then when you get to the finals, it would be through states, then regionals, and then nationwide. And with those different games, you can have a team for each individual game, opening up a doorway to having a lot of different teams with a lot of different kids being able to compete. So it's a great opportunity to get a lot of kids out there and competing. And then with the schedule for the fall majors of this school year, so it's going to be a little different next year and for future years. But the preseason began September 12th and ran through the 23rd. And then the regular season was September 26th. Sorry, and then ran to November 27th with the playoffs beginning then November 28th and then going to December 9th with finals being December 12th through the 14th. And then when you get to the spring, it's a similar format with the preseason, regular season, playoffs, and finals. So you would compete in the fall, you would have the winter off, and then you would compete again in the spring, as well as you can have different teams for the fall and spring. So you could then double the amount of students competing. For opportunities, you can get scholarships that range anywhere from $250 to $1,000 just for competing. So not only are you having fun playing and making memories with your friends, you can actually get money out of this for college then. Students can also use this experience to get into college esports teams, as well as then make it professional if they're good enough. So a lot of opportunities that you can get out of this. And then we go to why would you want to do esports outside of the financial aspect of getting into colleges and getting scholarships? Esports would also lead to career pathways related to computers. It also makes you have to think about critical problem solving skills, as well as you got to learn to work as a team. So these are great ways to help our young teenagers in high school. Then when they get out there and they become adults, having these skills. Eligibility requirements are the same as any other sport. You got to be passing your classes. So this also opens up a possibility where if someone likes playing video games, but they're falling behind in grades, if they want to play for the school, they got to keep those grades up. So that would also be a benefit to students' academics, as well as then the scholarships. As you can see to the graph, it might be a little hard to see for some of you, but 97% of teens play video games, whether it be on computers, consoles, their phones, or whatnot. And 82% of students who play in esports have never participated in an extracurricular prior to that. So this opens up a way to get those kids then to actually be able to participate in extracurriculars. Maybe they're idly sitting by, just kind of breezing through high school, and they want to participate, but they don't know how to. This is a great way for them to be able to do that. So it would be an awesome opportunity for those kids. And then the way that the schedule breaks down is on Mondays, you would have your CSGO, chess, and League of Legends. Tuesdays would be Halo and Minecraft. Wednesdays would be Brawlhalla and Valorant. And then Thursdays would be Rocket League and Siege. So if you're a student on, let's say, the Minecraft team, you would compete on Tuesday, and any other day, if your team wants to get together and practice, you can, but you only have to make that commitment to 1 day a week of actually playing. So it's not going to affect too much with kids' personal lives outside of school. But practice makes perfect, so it'd always be great to practice. Also, this would open up a way where you can get multiple advisors, and if an advisor wants to take Monday and then another one take Tuesday, another one take Wednesday, it also opens up that way our advisors, they have their own personal lives. They don't have to make as much of a commitment. Other local schools in the area, according to Generation Esports, which is an affiliate of the official high school esports league, Loyalsock, East Lycoming, Mount Carmel, Tamaqua, and a handful of schools in the Wilkes-Barre and Scranton area all have teams. So we got local schools in the area that already have teams, are already jumping the gun on this. So be a great time to get in here and beat out some of those other local schools.
Show them.
And then simple steps for getting this in here. You got to find an advisor. Shouldn't be too hard if you tell an advisor that they get to watch kids play video games and get to be a part of that. There'll be people out there that will want to help with that. There's no initial cost to starting a team, but depending on how many students we have playing, we might need to then advance that. Certain games are free to play. Other ones, they require you to pay. So if you have a lot of kids interested in a certain game, then you might want to have to pay for that. But to start, you could get a team completely free of charge, as well as we would be able to use the computer lab. We'd be able to use the computers in the high school computer lab. But if this begins to grow, it might be worth making an investment into getting newer computers for those students, as well as then students actually taking the computer classes. So you're getting multiple uses out of the equipment. And then fundraising would be held by the kids involved in the club. They would go out there, they would do their fundraisers, raise the money. So no charge to the school district here. And then that's all I have for you. So if you have any questions, I can help answer it if I wasn't clear.
I just want to chime in on a couple of things. Gavin did a really good job on this, and Gavin has been on me for quite some time about this. So for those that don't know, the fact that he's talking about the scholarships and post-secondary opportunities, that's a real thing. Kids are getting full rides to college to play esports. If you just Google some university esports teams and see like the rocket ship rooms is what they look like in terms of where these kids are participating. So that's a real thing. The second thing, for those of you that are unaware, we have kind of a pathway for this in our building. We have multiple programming courses through in-house courses. And then we also offer a Penn College Now programming course and a Penn College Now Intro to Gaming course. So this really does tie together. And I think the big piece that Gavin touched on is the fact that 82% of kids that participate in esports across this country have never participated in an extracurricular before. And I think we pride ourselves in the fact that we want to make sure that there's avenues for all of our students here at Melton. We are a hub. One thing we found as we're going through the comprehensive planning process is that people do view our district as a hub of this community, and we need to offer a lot of different activities, extracurriculars for our kids. And that's just a great statistic that Gavin dug up. I want to reiterate, right now, we just want to kind of present this to you informational, know that it's something we're looking at. If and when the time comes, we would try to start this as a club, like we've started many other clubs with the board over the years with an advisor, and kind of get it off the ground the way Gavin said. And if it would grow, then there'd be further discussions from there. But we just wanted to put it out there and let you know that there is a group of kids out there that are really trying to get this off the ground. So I just want to give kudos to Gavin. He did a lot of work on this, and I'm proud of him. I mean, good job for him.
And before I go, I do want to give Mr. Rance a little pat on the back. I came to him with a PowerPoint with a lot of information, not really simplifying much. So he helped me fix it up here. Would have had a lot of information and probably would have went over your head. So he helped this happen.
Because I didn't know either.
Thank you, Gavin. That's interesting. Gaming computers coming. Okay, let's Panther Pride Award this evening.
Really thankful to be able to recognize this evening a great district employee, Zach Cottage. He is the daytime custodian at White Deer Elementary School. Zach's unfortunately not with us this evening, but he is a powerhouse. He is what keeps White Deer Elementary School running throughout the day, always with a smile, always very positive, responsive to whatever our students and staff need. Zach is always taking extra time to make connections with our students and our teachers. I often find him during our lunch periods, connecting with individual students, especially those students in our life skills program who have a wonderful relationship with Mr. Cottage. And I just could not be more thankful for all the hard work that he does for our students at White Deer.
We're going to continue to celebrate Career and Technical Education Month.
Good evening again, board. So I have with me this evening my team of CTE representatives here. So we just kind of want to give you guys an overview of Career and Technical Education Appreciation Month. That is February, which we've been celebrating over the past several years. But I would say last year and definitely this year, we've kind of taken it to new heights. And I definitely want to give a tip of the cap to Mrs. Smith-Dirk, who has done a lot of work in kind of creating this, Mr. Bittner, who created kind of a calendar of events, not only for the entire year, but also this month, to really highlight a lot of the good things that are happening within our CTE programs. I know we do it a lot throughout the course of the year, but February is a very busy month for these programs. And we just want to highlight some of the things that have been happening and will be happening. So first and foremost, I just want to make sure that I do introduce the faculty and staff, and most are here this evening, I believe. Automotive Technology is Mr. Persing. He's back here behind the wall of students. Construction Trades is Mr. Walter. Criminal Justice, Mr. Davis. Diversified Occupations and Co-op is Mrs. Smith. Early Childhood Education, Mrs. Auker. Agriculture, Mr. Bittner. Accounting, Mr. O'Connor. And our CTE paraprofessional and kind of do-it-all individual, Mrs. Mabus. So I just wanted to give recognition to those guys. And then the students behind me, I'm going to briefly introduce them. They'll also introduce themselves when they step up to the microphone. But I asked our instructors, can you give me a name of a good representative of your program to come here this evening to speak about some of the things that have been happening in the CTE world? And all of these students' names immediately came out of their instructor's mouth, said, you got to get them there. And all of them eagerly took on the task of coming here and speaking in front of you this evening. For agriculture, we have Dominic Moyer. Criminal justice, Aiden Kaiser. Accounting, Zen Regas. Diversified occupations, Kaylin Hollenbach. Early childhood education, Emma Hollenbach. Automotive technology, Naldier Santana Reyes. And construction trades, Austin Mitch. And I'm going to turn it over to Austin, who's going to start it off and just give you some numbers for the CTE.
I'm Austin Mitch, and I'm part of the construction trades program. So there are a total of 188 students enrolled across 7 different programs, 68 total seniors, and 27 of them are out working the real world. And for co-op, there's 25 out on paid employment and 2 out on unpaid experience.
Hi, I'm Emma Hollenbach, and I am a early childhood education level 3 student. Over the month of February, have been doing many activities. So CTE Appreciation Month, also known as Career and Technical Education, we did a Check It Out Day on February 1st. There was 40 participants that went around to each of the different classrooms to see the classes and what they do in the classes. On February 3rd, we went to the Skills USA District Competition. On February 6th at 7 p.m., the National Technical Honor Society held their induction. The CTSO week was February 6th to the 10th. It was FFA, Skills USA, FBLA, National Technical Honor Society. Chamber of Commerce breakfast briefing was February 10th, where Chamber of Commerce came here and they had like a little briefing and breakfast. CTE 4th grade exploration was February 16th, where high schoolers in the CTE program went around to 4th graders and talked to them what we do in the high school. CTE What's for Lunch is coming up on February 24th, where there's 30 parents coming in, over 30 parents coming in to see what we do in different classrooms and have lunch with their students. And the CTE Olympics is going to be held on March 1st, where CTE students compete against other CTE programs in the school.
During our CTE Check It Out Day, we hosted over 40 guests in our district. Visitors traveled across multiple classrooms and programs, and We had a select handful of students tour our guests and provide them with any information they needed to know.
At our Skills USA district competition, we had 11 total students that competed at districts. 2 of the students earned second place in the following categories: myself, Aiden Kaiser, in criminal justice; Gabby White Knight, early childhood education and job demo; and 2 earned third place finishes in the following categories: Braxton Hartman in accounting and extraneous speaking; Ethan Minium, automotive technology and automotive service technology.
I'm Zenrigas. At the National Technical Honor Society induction, it was on February 6th in the high school auditorium. We recognized current members and inducted 43 new members, including myself. We had the Senator Linda Lego Culver speak, and she gave an amazing speech.
My name's Kaylin Hollenbach, and for our Chamber of Commerce breakfast briefing, we had individuals from our community learning about our CTE programs. They got a tour and enjoyed a breakfast from our very own food services.
Hello, board. I'm not here. Talking about the CTE fourth grade exploration. Student representatives from each program went down to elementary school buildings to showcase all 7 programs. This provided career exploration as well as early recruitment for elementary school students.
Again, just a little overview of what happened over the past month, as well as some of those events coming up. March 1st, I believe. When does CTE Olympics start? 1 o'clock? 1 o'clock. If you want to come in and check that out, it's pretty entertaining. There's all sorts of games. They're like in here milking cows, hammering nails. It gets real nuts. And the programs competing at, yeah, I know, I'm serious. They're milking cows. What's that?
March 1st.
March 1st, 1 o'clock. Yeah, so it gets pretty nuts. The programs compete against one another. One program crowned the winner. A lot of bragging rights at stake. Last year was the first year the instructors kind of organized this. The kids had a ball. So I'm looking forward to seeing that this year. So you're all more than welcome to come in March 1st at 1 o'clock. The last thing we wanted to highlight for CTE Appreciation Month, which was a pretty big surprise, was a proclamation that was announced at our National Technical Honor Society induction by Mayor Tom Aber. I'm going to turn it over to board member Mr. Hosterman. He's going to read that with some pretty exciting news.
Thank you. I'm happy to share this on behalf of our mayor here in town. Whereas February 1st through 28th, 2023 has been designated Career and Technical Education Month by the Association for Career and Technical Education. And whereas Career and Technical Education offers students the opportunities to gain the academic, technical, and employability skills necessary for true career readiness. Whereas students in career and technical education programs participate in authentic, meaningful experiences that improve the quality of their education and increase their engagement and achievement. And whereas career and technical education provides students with career exploration opportunities earlier in their educational experience, which enables them to make informed and beneficial decisions about their academic coursework and pursue established programs of study and career pathways. And whereas leaders from the business and industry nationwide report increasing challenges related to addressing the skills gap and connecting qualified professionals with available careers in critical and growing CTE-related fields, including healthcare, energy, advanced manufacturing, cybersecurity, and informational technology. And whereas career and technical education prepare students for these and other fulfilling careers by offering integrated programs of study that link secondary and post-secondary education and lead to the attainment of industry-recognized credentials. And whereas career and technical education programs ensure that employers have access to a qualified and thriving workforce, ensuring America is a strong and competitive economy. Therefore, I, Tom Aber, Mayor of Milton, Pennsylvania, do hereby proclaim February 1st through 28th, 2023 as Career and Technical Education Month in Milton, and urge all citizens to become familiar with the services and benefits offered by the career and technical education programs in this community, and to support and participate in these programs to enhance their individual skills and productivity. Signed, Tom Aber.
Thank you very much for that, Mr. Osterman. So I just think it's kind of a kudos and a feather in the cap of the programs here in Melton Area School District that, it's just a further collaboration between the borough, our community, our programs in this district to show that there is, a real need for these programs, as well as a commitment from our community to see these students go out into our community and fulfill all those necessary jobs that are out there that, we're hopefully preparing them for. So that concludes our presentation. One last thing, I always make sure I want to do this. These kids were fantastic. Some of them were very nervous, but I think they did a really good job. And I just want to always give a kudos to the 7 instructors and our paraprofessional that run these programs. They're the reason that they're so successful, that we have this month to celebrate. And none of these things happen without our faculty and staff of their CTE program. So thank you very much, board.
Thank you very much. I love our celebrations. Appreciate you all being here this evening. Next is, do we have any comments from visitors that are related to our board agenda?
None that I've received that I haven't been to.
All just left.
Paper here that someone saw. Is there anyone online that has asked to speak? Okay, okay. Great. Well, maybe another time. Yeah. Okay, on to the business meeting. We will start with the approval of minutes. Make a motion to recommend approval of the minutes from January 10th, 2023 committee meeting, as well as the approval of the minutes from the January 17th, 23 regular board meeting.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions? All in favor signify aye.
Aye.
Right. Your executive report, I would like to have a block vote. Well, maybe I should. You know what? I'm going to do 6A, 1 through 7. Let's start with that one. I'd like to make a motion to recommend approval of the documents listed in 6A1 through 6A7.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any questions? We have roll call, please.
Mr. Frederick,
Yes.
Mr. Hosterman,
Yes.
Mr. Hunt,
Yes.
Ms. Kessler,
Yes.
Mr. Moser,
Yes.
Dr. Strasser,
Yes.
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Dr. Weaver,
Yes.
Mrs. Rance.
Yes.
Thank you.
Attachment 6B. We did discuss this last week. The board members that were not here were, did you have an opportunity to look at the calendar? Okay.
And I'll address two changes that came are February 16th being the early dismissal day that leads into the 19th and 20th. We connected that. I think that came up, and we also did the same for a Wednesday in March rather than Friday. So we connected it for families to holidays. And again, I just want to point out, I did get some feedback from the community. Reason for early dismissals is a change away from Act 80 days. Normally an Act 80 days, a full day off that counts towards your instruction. We're choosing to eliminate Act 80, bring kids in at least for part of the day, and then use the other part for our purposes for professional development and other activities, conferences. So, my only other comment on this calendar is there's some different things on here that we are going to attempt next school year with your approval. And if they don't work, example, the whole week off at Thanksgiving. We can talk through if that is a good change or not for the next calendar. But I did get some nice feedback from people feeling that being able to see the calendar ahead of time was a welcome addition. And like I said, we got a few things that kind of impacted some of the decisions here. So again, thank you for that. And any other questions on the calendar?
Okay, with that, I'd like to make a motion to recommend approval of the 2023-24 school calendar.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any questions? Could we have roll call, please?
Mr. Hosterman,
Yes.
Mr. Hunt,
Yes.
Ms. Kessler,
Yes.
Mr. Moser. Yes. Dr. Strasser,
Yes.
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Dr. Weaver,
Yes.
Mr. Frederick,
Yes.
Mrs. Rance.
Yes. Item 6C, I'd like to make a motion to recommend approval of the CSIU's general operating budget for the 23-24 school year. Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions? We have roll call, please.
Mr. Hunt,
Yes.
Ms. Kessler,
Yes.
Mr. Moser,
Yes.
Dr. Strasser,
Yes.
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Dr. Weaver,
Yes.
Mr. Frederick,
Yes.
Mr. Hosterman,
Yes.
Mrs. Rance.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Yep.
I want to go back to in 6A, number 7. I think that's an important piece. Last week, we presented to you on our idea with cyber courses and making that change. I know Mr. Fink brought it up as part of Mr. Berge and Dr. Zalonis's presentation about moving forward as quickly as we can. You know, thoroughly grateful for the cooperation between the union as well as leadership team that you just approved, is that ability for us to move forward immediately. Why is that important? It's putting our own cyber courses together. It can be a cost savings, and it's just better for kids, in our opinion. Well, not in our opinion, it's just better for kids. It's our courses, our teachers being connected. So thank you for that approval. And I think it's a great step in the right direction. Thank you, Mr. Berge and Dr. Z as well.
Finance Committee, Mr. Frederick and Mr. Moser.
Thank you, Mrs. Rance. I'd like to make a recommendation in the form of a motion for approval of all items under items 7A through 7G.
Second.
The motion and a second. Are there any questions? Could we have roll call, please?
Ms. Kessler,
No.
Mr. Moser. No. Dr. Strasser,
No.
Mr. Harris,
No.
Dr. Weaver,
No.
Mr. Frederick,
Yes.
Mr. Hosterman,
Yes.
Mr. Hunt,
No.
Mrs. Rance.
Yes.
Okay, the motion did not carry.
Are there particular items that any board member would like separated out?
Can separate 7C. That would be great.
7D,
C,
C.
please. Thank you.
Any others? Yeah, I'd like to make a revised motion for approval of items 7A, 7B, 7D, E, F, and G.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions? Could we have roll call?
Sorry, I just want to make sure that I have it correct. It's 7A through G excluding C.
Correct.
Okay. Just need to update that. I didn't miss this. Okay. Mr. Moser,
Yes.
Dr. Strasser,
Yes.
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Dr. Weaver,
Yes.
Mr. Frederick,
Yes.
Mr. Hosterman,
Yes.
Mr. Hunt,
Yes.
Ms. Kessler,
Yes.
Mrs. Rance. Thank you.
Okay, I would like to make a recommendation for approval of item 7C.
Is a motion? Is that a motion?
Was a
Okay,
motion.
I'm sorry. Was there a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any questions?
Not a question, but just a statement.
Yeah.
I just
I'll let you go.
want to make the board, I want to remind the board, this is a procedural motion. This is required by law and must be done by a certain date. And unfortunately don't have that date in front of me. Derek, do you?
I do
Deadline?
not, but it'll dictate then when we would pass the next step. So if it gets pushed down, we have to have a special meeting to vote again. It'll then push things out. 'Cause we have to advertise a certain number of days between each one.
So this is not an approval of the budget, nor is it an approval of any of the line items under the budget. This is just the starting point from which we will begin discussion of what to cut, what to add, et cetera, et cetera. So I just want to make it clear that we're not voting on the merits of individual items in the budget with this vote. It is whether we can just enter this preliminary budget, this starting point, so that we can begin the discussion behind the budget. So is there any questions on that? Further clarification needed?
No questions? Could we have roll call, please?
Dr. Strasser,
No.
Mr. Harris,
No.
Dr. Weaver,
Yes.
Mr. Frederick,
Yes.
Mr. Hosterman,
Yes.
Mr. Hunt,
No.
Ms. Kessler,
No.
Mr. Moser,
No.
Mrs. Rance.
Yes.
Okay, it failed to pass 4-5.
Like we have some more work ahead of us.
We'll have to have a special meeting, did you say?
I would think so. Have to look at the Act One timeline, but we will have to come back together.
Okay.
I have nothing further under finance.
Sorry. Facilities, Mr. Hosterman and Mrs. Kessler.
Yeah, I believe Damien's here. We're gonna have a presentation. Welcome, Damien. Thank you for being here.
Hi, everyone. Damien Spar with Site Logic. Nice to see you again. What I have handed out to everyone is an update on our cost projections. Spoiler alert, at the end of this, as you see, the cost projection has eaten its way up over $18 million. I think that we're going to be under $18 million when we're finished with this, and I'll give you some insight into that in just a moment. Let's talk about some exciting things first. Tomorrow, we will be laying out for steel studs for walls, and you will start to see the actual construction of APOD starting this week. We'll also, in the next, I think I'm going to say within the week, we will be doing some plumbing rough in too, so there'll be the first trades really going. I know that you've probably seen the laydown area that we've had out there. There's nothing that a principal would like more than if you would add more stone around an elementary school for the kids to be around, but we did that over the past couple of weeks. And things are really going to start to get rolling now. We actually had a meeting, I want to say last Thursday, with the architect for several issues, but they included the fact that we now have a building permit and we are rolling with all of our submittals and all the things that we need to do to be able to build real fast as we get going with APOD and go into B, et cetera. So that's pretty exciting. Mr. Hoffman, do you think I missed anything there at all? So that's what we're looking at for schedule. So let's get back to our cost for just a minute. Before, I had provided a whole lot of detail with subcontracted costs, but they have stopped moving around so much. Some things that have changed in the subcontract costs is we've taken costs for installing things like marker boards and cabinetry and things like that and put that up in the costs, and really making sure that we've got everything in there. So that current projection, everybody in my office has looked at that and said, we don't expect that to go up. I'm trying to continue to drive it down a little bit. So I think that's kind of a high water mark. Other construction that's noted there, importantly, we have been out getting quotations for vinyl plank flooring as well as epoxy flooring, and that includes having the logos and things like that, so that we are providing that flooring all, I'm going to say all throughout the building, and maybe a couple spots that don't have it, like the library. I think we're leaving that flooring, but we've really gone to extreme lengths to make sure that we've got all that scope covered. So right now we are in the process of vetting 3 companies that have provided pricing to make sure that their scopes are complete. and the administration will be able to have a recommendation on that and go forward with procuring flooring very, very shortly. We also have procured our casework, and I think we've turned shop drawings around for our APOD casework so we can have that in time. We'll be doing that for BPOD to follow very closely. We have made adjustments for magnetic marker boards and reviewed that in detail with Mr. Slater to make sure that we have all the learning spaces. I think Mrs. Kessler was very concerned early on that we were really getting that correct learning space in the classrooms, and that's a big part of what we're doing there with magnetic marker boards and tack boards. Kitchen equipment is a place that knowing that we were going to do that later on in the second summer, that we were kind of putting as a latter priority. So we have $450,000 in for that. I think we're going to see that as a place where we're going to reduce our costs. The site work number that's shown there is going to actually be combined with the work that's going to be done and bid out for the second summer for our canopy. Canopy is in design right now with a structural engineer called KBR out of Harrisburg, and with EI Associates out of Harrisburg. They're coordinating with Mr. Hoffman. And what we're going to do is be able to get a couple of options. They're not going to vary widely, but we'll have a couple of options so we can have an estimate on price and share it with the district so we can decide how we're going to go out for bid and what we're going to do with that in the public bid. We will be able to get that finished in time to kind of, hate to use the phrase, but I will, time the bid market. So one thing we don't want to do is go out for bid in March to try and get a canopy built in the summer. We probably want to go out for bid later this year, maybe in the fall, and have plenty of time to get it and have hit the bid market when folks are scheduling their next year's work. We'll get better pricing that way. Playground equipment is also here, carried at $500,000, and that's an ongoing dialogue that we're having just to figure out exactly what we want there to make the playground better. We're continuing to carry AE fees shown there, and everything else below that, with the exception of furnishings, are starting to become final costs. Mr. Hoffman has worked with us and with NRG North on the security. So we've got that down to a final. There are the projectors for all the rooms are included here, and we've got that nailed down. Furnishings, we have selected all the furniture for the renovated areas, and we have more money left in there, but we're not showing that reduction yet because I think we're going to have other places. Mr. Slater maybe needs a new desk and a chair. We'll see how that goes, but we have things like that in the office that we need to finish out there. So there may be savings, but we're not projecting it in that line item yet. I wanted to say thank you to the borough because they were very good at working with us to get the permit turned around and give us what I thought were extremely fair permit fees. So that's helped the district. And unfortunately, that's a rare thing. So one thing that you all should be grateful for is that you've got a borough that works closely with you. So when you down total that, we're at about $18.2 million. However, I do believe that with some adjustments that we're going to be making, you're going to see that number get under $18 million. We're going to have the scope that we want. We may have, some things that we pick and choose from and then come back later and decide that we add them back in, but we're really headed in that direction. And part of that will be in March. We'll bring the final Giza amount to you. So what I intend to do with that in the amendment that we bring is basically cross off the old one that we had. And then instead of saying, well, you had this and now we're going to add these things, we're just going to cross the old one off and provide the new one. And so it'll be kind of a credit for the old amount and the total new amount and make it nice and easy. So that's really where we're headed with all this. There may be questions. I'd be happy to answer any. We're just kind of, we've laid out the plan, we've laid out the path, and we're just moving down the track and not getting too far ahead that we're spending money that we shouldn't or anything like that, but being very thoughtful and continuing to have discussions. Like we had a meeting with some committee folks 3 weeks ago or something like that. And we're going to have another one of those coming up again, I think, early March.
Any questions from the board?
I mean, just to confirm, the bottle refill stations were confirmed and everything's good to go.
Yes, they will continue to be good to go, or I will be installing them myself.
Thank you.
And
That's what I want.
as well, before we talk about it, as well as the painting and the in the multi-purpose room, et cetera.
Awesome.
I don't forget my promises.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Damien.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Good to see you all.
Moving on under the agenda, I'd like to make a motion for approval items listed under 8.B and 8.C.
The motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions? We have roll call, please.
Mr. Frederick,
Yes.
Mr. Hosterman,
Yes.
Mr. Hunt,
Yes.
Ms. Kessler,
Yes.
Mr. Moser. Yes. Dr. Strasser,
Yes.
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Dr. Weaver,
Yes.
Mrs. Rance.
Yes.
All this evening.
Okay. Athletics and extracurricular, Mr. Hosterman and Mr. Moser.
Evening. I'd like to make a motion in the form of a block vote. for Items 9A through 9C.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions? Okay, could we have roll call, please?
Mr. Hosterman,
Yes.
Mr. Hunt,
Yes.
Ms. Kessler,
Yes.
Mr. Moser,
Yes.
Dr. Strasser,
No.
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Dr. Weaver,
No.
Mr. Frederick,
Yes.
Mrs. Rance.
No.
That carries 6-3.
Nothing more this evening.
Education and technology, Mr. Hosterman and Mrs. Kessler.
Discuss.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion for approval of items 10A.
I have a question before we vote. Sure. On that number 1.
I think we need a second first, don't we? We need a second before we have.
We need a
discussion.
second.
Okay.
Question. Okay, sorry.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Are there any questions? Okay.
Go ahead, Steph.
Okay, so I just have a question about number 1. What exactly this is that there's so many adults going with the students?
So when that was presented, it was, hopefully I can get one of them to attend. So it will not be all administrators, adults that will be attending there. You see myself, Dr. Beckhart, Mr. Campbell, Mr. Rance, Mr. Scoggins. It was just in the hopes that one of us would be able to attend with them. It's a school function that is looking at improving school culture and school climate. They attended one in the fall as well. And we got a lot of really good ideas and a lot of momentum generated from that. So we are actually combining with the middle school on this trip as well. So that's why we will not all be
You're
attending.
not all leaving.
No.
Okay.
I'm hoping to be able to attend with them. I went with them in the fall and I would like to attend then as well. So, but
Great.
it will more than likely just be.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, could we have roll call, please?
Mr. Hunt,
Yes.
Ms. Kessler,
Yes.
Mr. Moser,
Yes.
Dr. Strasser,
Yes.
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Dr. Weaver,
Yes.
Mr. Frederick,
Yes.
Mr. Hosterman,
Yes.
Mrs. Rance.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's all for this evening.
Personnel Committee, Mr. Frederick.
Yes, I'd like to make a recommendation in the form of a motion for approval of all items under 11A through 11I.
Is there it's a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
We have roll call, please.
Ms. Kessler,
Yes.
Mr. Moser,
Yes.
Dr. Strasser,
Yes.
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Dr. Weaver,
Yes.
Mr. Frederick,
Yes.
Mr. Hosterman,
Yes.
Mr. Hunt,
Yes.
Mrs. Rance.
Yes. Got everything under personnel. All right, Legislative and Policy Committee, Mr. Hosterman. Dr. Strasser.
Yeah, out there on Main Street. Okay, so I'd like to make a block vote for 12A and 12B tonight.
Motion, could we have a second?
Second.
Are there any questions?
I do have a question. I was looking through the policies the other night. Do we have a policy on how often they're reviewed or revised? Out of curiosity.
So I know that these policies, what comes out through PSBA is a recommendation and they get updated. I don't know I don't think from a district level, there's a that I know of.
That would be a board request.
Yeah.
If you wanted
I
a
think.
policy reviewed and any changes or revisions or additions made to it.
I noticed some haven't been reviewed in 10 plus years, so I was just wondering if we had a policy that says how often we have to do this.
Like I said, PSBA does update and then we follow suit. But again, other policies, maybe policies that are, are school only.
Right.
And have not been. So it could be that the policy committee could take a review of some at a time and look, see if there's anything that might need some changes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Could we have roll call, please?
Mr. Moser? Yes. Dr. Strasser,
Yes.
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Dr. Weaver,
Yes.
Mr. Frederick,
Yes.
Mr. Hosterman,
Yes.
Mr. Hunt,
Yes.
Ms. Kessler,
Yes.
Mrs. Rance.
Yes. CSIU representative report. Are you able to give us any insight?
So the
Dr.
one thing that I want to point out is this is one of those rare occurrences where the meeting is actually before our meeting. So you all received your update last week. And in that update, it began with a video. And that particular video focuses on pathways to encouraging students to become teachers to help mitigate the upcoming teacher shortage that we're going to face. If you haven't watched that video, I hope you take the opportunity to watch that. And there will be others coming in the future. And that was my biggest takeaway from the IU meeting this month.
Did you get an email? Alvin, I don't
Yes.
believe, I know I didn't. Is there anyone else here that did receive it? I don't think the board received that email. There was nothing, my email. Did they send it to our school email, I assume?
Yes.
Yeah.
I will go ahead and forward it to all of you because it's a great video and I want you to have the opportunity to see it.
Okay, thank you. I don't recall ever getting anything from the CSIU actually,
either.
so I don't know who disperses them. Do they come from the IU? Do they come here? I'm not sure, but I have never received an email through the CSIU. So if you wouldn't mind looking into that, that'd be great.
Sure.
Okay, good, that it wasn't just me. Anything else, Alvin?
Nothing further this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Secretary's correspondence, Mr. Fink.
I'll list off the donations that were received for the month. John and Amy Waldron donated cases of food and toiletry and hygiene supplies to the Panther Pantry. The CSIU donated 3 APB battery backup units, 1 APC battery backup replacement battery cartridge to the technology department. The middle school student council, in honor of School Board Appreciation Month, donated $200 to the Panther Pantry. Jeff and Bethany Rudloff and Susan E. Ray donated $100 to the Caring Fund. Robert and Janice Bailey donated cases of food to the Panther Pantry. Mary DeLong donated $50 to the Panther Pantry. Dave Morgan donated 3 ring binders to the Milton Area School District. Camp for Kids donated school supplies to the Milton Area School District. Lyle and Jessica Browse donated $190 to the athletic department, and Mifflinburg Bank and Trust donated $370 to the Panther Pantry. And that's everything that I have for this month.
Thank you. Is there a motion to accept the donations?
Motion.
Motions are a second.
Second.
All in favor signify aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
Right. Superintendent's report, Dr. Bickart.
Thank you. In a couple things. One of the things, I'm not sure if Damien said it, but I sent the pictures to you. Trees at Bodker have been removed. That is part of the project. I always know when you were removing things like that, it can get people's attention. If you were at Bodker today, it got your attention, but it is part of our process moving forward. It does open the front up a little bit more. Doesn't mean we can't, as time goes on, add to that area with different landscaping. So just a big piece of that puzzle. You just, and I'll just comment on it. You just referenced the email. We are dealing with an email issue within the district. I don't think it's coming in from the IU. This is just some, as anybody's dealing with security, some issues with accounts getting compromised. Mr. Gembling is working through that. We are working towards a better, higher level of security. It can be very tough for people because there's multi-factor authentication, but from a safety and security, from an insurance standpoint, it is a critical piece. Just know from a community standpoint, we're aware, we're working on it. We're trying to find the best solution as we move forward. So if you're hearing about any email issues, please tell people to call if that is the case. We are trying to fix it as fast as we can. I talked last week about the staffing report. I did, as I left, I did miss one thing. As part of our tech department, there is a help desk position. If you saw that on that report, we are morphing that into a different position to try and entice more support, within that area, as well as other area. It's more secretarial to see if we have not been able to fill it under the current way. So we're just looking for a creative way to provide support and assistance in various areas. We will, again, it's not a new position, it's just an adjustment. I referenced everything else, I believe, last week. And it was oversight, and I just wanted to make sure I commented on that tonight. Also, the community feedback page is up. One big thing I want to mention on there is the community, the wellness center survey. If you have not noticed, on the backside of the building, Pinpoint was a significant donor in this. Their sign is up. Saying Pinpoint Wellness Center. I know as a board we spoke. We are putting a survey out right now to our community to see what their interest is, to try and combine that with, our staffing of that location. It is our intention here early spring to find a time where the community, will be connected to that. We're just making sure. I will be honest, some of that is just the fact of me coming on as new superintendent and the time it takes to get acclimated and get moving. I'm pleased that we have the sign up out front or out back. But I know that was a big piece of that spot being open, and we're working towards that. I'll just end with, I think it's so important with CTE. We talk about it. I know a lot of people ask me about how do we get more of our community to come in. We discussed after the checkout day, can we do an evening one? The only problem there is our kids aren't there at that time. And even if a few kids came in, it's not the same feel as that day. It is an incredible event. It is, the fact that we are a comprehensive high school cannot be underestimated. It is incredible to see what our kids have to offer. And it's just great to see them tonight and to see our staff here in such a comprehensive program. Thank you to Mr. Rance, the rest of the high school for all they're doing for that. It's something to celebrate. And I'll end with positive.
We invite our press to join us on those special days. For free. It was a great day. I did come. It was exciting. Only had the opportunity to see 3 of the classes, but very impressive. What I loved most was how excited and engaged the students were to tell you all about what they do. I mean, I went into the building trades. I learned everything about every tool, every one. It was pretty cool. So yeah, it was impressive. So congratulations to the staff and to our students. Are there any questions or on Dr. Bickhart's report? I'd like a motion to accept his report.
I have one question.
I went through your report. Something we don't really talk about, which is classes that teachers submit that they're going to take. There is one on there that I have an issue with. It's very dividing and can cause a lot of issues in this community. It is critical race theory related. I think maybe we should look into that and just make sure that that's not coming into the school.
I think the comment I would make is when we look at the courses our teachers are taking, and it was a conversation in my prior role as curriculum director at Danville, I was part of that conversation. I always know that one of the concerns when you take a course that is a one-off course, meaning it's not connected to a program, from a financial standpoint, it can be concerning. So I was looking at some of the courses and are they associated with a program? And that course is associated with a program. And while I agree with you, we need to be cautious of what comes into our schools that is not part of our curriculum. I think that is on us as the leadership team to ensure even if teachers are taking courses that are broadening their horizons, that we are well aware of what's coming into the classroom. So I think it's a good point to make sure we do that. But I also, I have all the trust in this. We have curriculum for a reason. We have leaders for a reason that make sure that is not part of what the state is telling us to do. Is it maybe important for our teachers to make sure they are part of all kind of courses to learn so they are well-versed? Doesn't always mean it plays out in the classroom that way, but I think it's always good for us to look at what courses they're taking and how that is leading towards their further education. So thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else? Like a motion to accept Dr. Bickhart's report.
So moved.
Second? What's the second? I'm sorry. All in favor signify aye.
Aye.
Great, I apologize. Right, are there any board comments this evening?
I have two, if I may. One, just to kind of reiterate back to the discussion on the preliminary budget. We're now kind of officially putting the cart before the horse by debating the specifics of the budget before we approve the preliminary budget. So I would just challenge everyone who voted no tonight, because we're gonna have a special meeting for this. Come prepared with something that will remedy what you think is deficient. So if you're gonna vote no, come with a solution. So I would ask that. And then secondly, more positively, I just want to share my daughter had the opportunity to participate in the program that they had here at the high school, middle school, where the high school girls basketball team worked with elementary school girls. And I just want to say, anytime our high schoolers have the ability to kind of pay it forward, there is no downside to that. It was a great program. And I just want to say thank you to everyone that participated in putting that together.
Nice, thanks for sharing that. Right, do we have any comments from visitors this evening for anything other than was on our agenda? All right, with that, I'm going to ask for a motion to go into executive for personnel. Motion, do we have a second? All in favor signify aye.
Aye.
We will not have any further business when we come back out, so you're all free to leave, and thank you for being here this evening. Maybe I'll get this back to